Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is my Seattle real estate market update for May 2023. I just realized that we have been filming these videos for almost 7 years now, starting back in June 2016, which is crazy. I have had the privilege, and I just want to take this moment to say thank you to so many of you who have been following the channel and subscribed, and also for those that have worked with me to buy or sell a property here, meeting over YouTube, which is incredible. Honestly, when I started this, I didn't imagine that as an outcome. I made these videos at first just for my clients to be able to continue to keep them updated on the market, and turns out other people wanted this information. I didn't realize it wasn't out there, but I hope this information is still very valuable for you and you enjoy it. If you do, please give this video a like or a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I want to start off this update with a story, and it's going to be a little different than some of the other videos. And this story is going to involve a few different clients. When I'm actively working with one that I've been talking with and have actually told it's probably better to hold off on selling their house. And I made a video last week, and it's called The Biggest Mistakes to Avoid When Hiring a Real Estate Agent. And really, it's just one big mistake that I focus on. And the general idea of the video is that you need to make sure that you do your homework and that you do your research when you're hiring a real estate professional. And this is not a shameless plug for me, although I'm happy to chat with you about your situation if you're in the Seattle area. The reason I'm sharing this is because I think it's important to know about the data and understand the market that you're buying in, but I've seen more and more and more as I have more conversations that people get themselves into tough situations sometimes because of the real estate agents that they've chosen to work with. So I have two clients, again, one that I'm working with currently, one I'm talking out of working with, and I found that they got into situations that they could have avoided if their real estate agent had helped them better, I think. So the first one, I talk about this in the video, ended up buying a condo with a situation where they had a pet. They couldn't have the pet there. They can't rent it out either. So now they have to sell it or just have it sit. And in another situation, they bought a condo that had some big repairs coming up and they didn't really know about it. Now they're in this situation where they have to pay for these repairs, or they can get out. But if they get out right now, they're going to lose money. Even though they can sell it for what they bought it for, they're still going to lose money because it costs money to buy and sell real estate. So I think the point here is that you want to make sure you're doing your homework when you're hiring a real estate agent, and you want to not only know about the market and about the houses, but you want to have somebody that can really walk you through that process, that has expertise, is good at negotiating. And I made a video about that too, so I guess I'll link it up, how to choose a real estate agent. But I thought that was important to share with you, and we'll tie it into this update as we continue on. But let's jump to the stats, because I know that's what many of you are here for. And we're going to start in a little different order. So I want to start with the percentage of list price, because we usually talk about that at the end. But in Seattle and Bellevue, homes last month in April sold over asking price on average. Bellevue was just over asking price, 0.2% above asking price. Seattle was 2.1% above asking price on the sales price. So things have been picking up. And a big driving force right now, we've been talking about this if you follow along with the Seattle market watches, that the supply of homes has been shrinking. It ballooned in the spring and the summer last year, in 2022, and it's been slowly declining. It did slightly increase here month over month, but the days on market's been shrinking. Average days on market, 19 in Seattle, 20 in Bellevue. Get this, median days on market, right? This is the middle number. 6 days in Seattle, 5 days in Bellevue. Homes are selling significantly faster. And a big reason is because the inventory has been shrinking and some of that competition's picking back up. Things are not sitting around waiting for you to buy if you're a buyer. And as a seller, they're not just sitting around languishing on the market either. People are coming to take a look at houses. So supply numbers, we talked about this. Inventory of homes. So there are considerably more houses available right now than there were last year at the same time. That is not debatable. But what's changing is the amount of supply that's available. So we have about 1.4 months of supply in Seattle and the same in Bellevue. So that just means if no houses come on the market over the next 1 month and a couple weeks, we're not going to have any houses available. And back in the summer, we had about 2 months in Seattle and 2.5, 2.25 in Bellevue. And the significance there is that there are far fewer houses right now that are available, and that just means there's more pressure or competition on the houses that are available. And you're probably thinking and putting this together, but what that's doing is it's putting upward pressure on the prices. So in Bellevue last month, homes sold for 8.4% more than they did last year in April 2022. Now the high in Bellevue, February and March were the highs above 2 million. So we haven't reached the all-time highs in Bellevue yet. But last month, $1,990,000 was the median sales price in Bellevue. So we're just below 2 million. Can you believe that? In the midst of all that's been going on, the home prices have been continuing to climb in Bellevue. And we're getting near the peak of the year, most likely in Bellevue. Seattle is down 12.7% year over year. 870 was the median sales price. And if we look at a graph here, I'm going to show you this data a little differently today. We're going to look at a bar graph, and you can see that home prices are about the same as they were back in 2021 in Seattle, just a little bit higher. And I think a big factor right now, so we've talked about the inventory, right? There's two main things happening right now that are causing inventory to go down. We have the new listings shrinking dramatically. So last year, so for April, homes, this is crazy. In April, there were fewer new listings than there were in March. And normally what we see is a pretty steady, gradual increase in the new listings every month into the summer because, well, this is the peak time of year. We saw a drop off in the new listings from March to April. What? And if we look at the data here, I'm going to show you a bar graph again over the last few years. 2021, in Seattle, we had 1,253 listings. We had fewer last year, 21.5% fewer. We saw another drop off, 759. That is a massive delta from the 1,253 down to the 759. Bellevue's delta isn't quite as dramatic. It doesn't seem as dramatic because, well, there's just fewer houses in Bellevue, but 152 in 2021 down to 103 this last year. So there are far fewer new listings than normal. So that's the first data point. The pending sales are also down significantly. So in Seattle, 1,042 in 2021, down to 631 this year. Massive drop off, like I said. Bellevue, 139 pending sales to 93 pending sales. So again, not as dramatic sounding, but still about the same. Closed sales are also down in Seattle and Bellevue. Seattle 30.6% down year over year. Bellevue 44.2%. So we have less buyer activity, right? That's what that means. Fewer pending sales, fewer closed sales, less buyer activity. We also have less listing inventory. So although, and this is the thing that I think some expected. They expected that we would see less buyer activity, and so therefore we were going to continue to see inventory climbing and ballooning, which would then put a lot of downward pressure on the housing market, which is what we saw last year. It wasn't as dramatic as it felt. We didn't see two months of supply. It's not a lot of supply. Now it is compared to what we had become accustomed to, but really it's not that much supply. But I think some expected that we were going to continue to see inventory balloon and that the buyer activity was going to be so low and the listing activity, new listings, was going to be so high that we were going to see those numbers jumping up. But what we've seen is not that. Last month, inventory remained about the same. I think we were talking about 1.3 months. Now we're talking about 1.4 months. So we've had a relatively stagnant amount of supply growth commensurate to the amount of listings and buyers all in the market at the same time. Things are selling quicker again. They're selling over asking price. So what we're seeing is really the opposite. We're seeing some upward pressure on prices. So as we head into the rest of the year, I think the big things we're going to be looking at, paying attention to are, what are the new listings looking like? Do we have a lot of new listing inventory? And if what we've seen so far is any indication, I would say there's a lot of people sitting put right now. Some of those people might be looking to buy something else, but there isn't really anything to buy, right? And so then they're not going to be selling their houses. And then for first-time home buyers, there are a lot of first-time home buyers in the market right now, but interest rates are higher, so they're looking, a lot of people are looking in a certain price point on the lower end, I would say, below $1 million. So as we head into the rest of the year, we're going to be paying attention to the amount of listings, and then we're also going to be paying attention to interest rates. I think the interest rates are still very significant, and in a higher price market like Seattle, they do affect things. And again, we're talking about mortgage interest rates, not the Fed rates. The Fed rates have continued to go up here. They keep raising them, but mortgage interest rates are hovering right around 6.5%. They've been going between 6 and 7% for all of this year so far. And I think the biggest thing we're looking at and paying attention to is inflation. So once we get inflation under control, whatever that means, once we have inflation under control, when the government's confident about it, consumers are confident about it, we're going to start to see those interest rates for mortgages drop fairly quickly. And when that happens, I think we're going to see a lot more upward pressure on the housing market because inventory's low and prices are also down. Now, I mentioned Bellevue being up. Well, it's a little bit of an outlier. Across King and Snohomish County, between 10 and 12.5% down is really where we're seeing. And a lot of the higher priced areas are even down more. So for a buyer right now, you can get a better deal as far as the price goes, but your payment's higher. So that's why we've talked about interest rates as another one of those factors. So for buyers right now, yes, prices are down. You have opportunities. I think it's really important as a buyer that you do your homework when you're looking at real estate agents. I would love to, if you're in this area, be part of that conversation and have an opportunity to connect with you about your situation if you're getting some value out of this. But again, that's not the heart. The main point is that you just need to make sure you're looking at reviews. You're reading, maybe you're going on Zillow or you're going on Google reviews, right? Does this agent have a track record of success? Do they sell homes where I want to buy or where I want to sell my home? It's great to get a recommendation from a friend or a family member, but has that person worked with the agent? Does the agent do a lot of business, right? Most real estate agents don't do a lot of business. So I guess the caution is make sure you're doing your homework as you're looking at people to help you navigate this market right now. And then for sellers right now, I would say that if you felt like you missed the boat last year and you missed your opportunity to sell your house and get a good value for it, I think that you're still not going to get what your neighbors got last year, but if you need to sell or you want to sell and move on, you're going to be able to do that and have the terms of the contract and even the price start to be more in your favor here as we head towards the rest of 2023. Thanks so much for watching my Seattle real estate market update for May 2023. Again, if you got some value out of this video, please give me some love, whether it's a comment or a thumbs up on this video. And if you want to talk more about your situation, buying or selling in the Seattle area, please don't hesitate to reach out.